Okay, so we can continue with the project that we were doing. Okay, so last time we were at this particular state where we were making a to do application. So basically what I want to do is whatever I type over here, that should come inside my table, and then whenever I click on any of the check boxes, it should uh, make it complete. Okay, so now uh, let's look at how these things work. Okay, so first of all, we did a little bit of coding where whenever we check this particular checkbox, that particular class is applied to this. Okay, so if you remember, we had a class called, we have normal TRs, and whichever TR we want to make it complete, we just have to add a class complete. Okay, so based on that, there will be certain styling applied. So like a light green color and strike through is applied. Okay, so this was working, but then whenever we add a new entry, okay, and then we click on that, then it does not work. Okay, so has anyone tried to do this project? There was around 1 week's time for this. So has anybody tried? Okay, so I'm assuming nobody tried. Okay, so basically, now why this is not working. So let us understand how events work. Okay, so basically, just let me explain you with a small example. Okay, so let's suppose you take a book from your friend to learn something. So it is your friend's book. So you took it and you went through the book once and you remember everything. Okay, and now you give it back to him or her. Okay, so it is back with your friend. Now will you understand whether he adds something to his book without looking at it again? Can anybody tell me? After returning the book back, if he enters something inside the book, will you be able to know? No, right? So that is the same thing that is happening over here. Okay, so basically what is happening, if you look at the code, the code runs from top to bottom, right? Because it's a procedural uh, language, so it runs from top to bottom, right? So all these codes run, but the event listeners that are there, that does not run. Okay, so this code does not run. And then again, if you see, come down over here, this is again an event listener, so this also does not run. Okay, uh, the the funda of event listener is triggered only when that event occurs. Okay, so that means whenever that click event occurs, this particular block of code will be executed. Okay, so that means except this code, all the other codes will be executed when the page loads. Okay, so that means this is loaded, this works, this works. And if you come down, this also is not inside any event listener, right? So this also loads when your page loads. Okay, and then you come down over here, you use a for loop, and then if you see, there is again an event listener, right? So out of this event listener and this event listener does not run unless that particular event occurs. Okay, so that means whatever is remaining is what runs when you refresh the page or when you load the page, right? Now when you load the page, how many checkboxes are there? There are 4 checkboxes. Okay, and you are running this particular code after you refresh, right? So at that time, when you run this code, you have seen, it's like reading the book, right? The first time when you read the book, this is what you are reading the book, and you see that there are 4 check boxes. Okay, now after some time, you use the event listener to add something, right? So when you add something, now it is like you have returned the book to your friend, and your friend has added something, right? So you do not know whether the friend has added or not, because if you look at this particular statement executed only at the beginning of the page. Okay, so that means when the page loaded, at that time this expression was executed. Okay, and at that time there were only 4 check boxes, right? So that means it is going to be you cannot this particular statement cannot understand whether new check boxes are added or not. Okay, then what is the solution? There are multiple solutions to this. One solution one solution will be to use the create element command. Okay, so if you look at it, now how have I created this particular additional tr? Okay, so this additional tr, this entire tr we have created using this particular statement. Okay, so you can see what we have done. Okay, so we have written the entire statement over here, and so now what we have done is we have just appended something to the end of the table, right, in the string format. So what happens is the DOM, okay, so DOM is document object model. So the DOM does not understand whether new nodes are actually created. Okay, so this particular statement does not execute again, right? So for that purpose, this particular variable does not know whether there are additional checkboxes or additional TRs being attached or not, right? Now to do that, what you can do is you can inform the DOM that I am adding new elements. Okay, now how to do that? Now to do that, you can do something, you can use the command called create. So if you refer our previous what you say video where we have used this, right? So we have used create element tr. So we used document dot create element tr. So this creates an element called tr, and then inside that you will have to create a 3 tds, and inside the first td you will have to create a checkbox. Then in the second td you will have to set the text test, and the third td you will have to set the text pending. Okay, so this particular statement, setting the table directly equal to inner html, this is like a shortcut, you can say. But the shortcut has a little disadvantage that it does not reflect the DOM directly. Okay, so that is the problem. But if you do in this way by using document dot create element, then that will help in reflecting the DOM. Okay, so then that means, do I have to change the entire code? No, you don't have to change it. So you can do it with this method also. Okay, so you can do it with the help of by setting inner html also. Okay, now the reason why we use this kind of method is there are 2 reasons. First of all, uh, just imagine if you want to create an element. Okay, so if it's a simple element, then there is only one tag, you can create it easily. But in this case you can see how many elements are there. Okay, so there is a tr. So once you have to create a tr, then you have to create a td, then you will have to create an input element. So for all this will be different commands. Okay, and inside that also you will have to set attributes, type, class, name, id. So all these things will have to be set. Then again new td and another td. Okay, so you can see how difficult it can be. But in case of inner html, it is very simple. You just have to write the html string and everything works, right? But the DOM is not reflected. Okay, now to make this working, there is a very simple trick. What you can do is we use something called as event capture and bubbling. Okay, now what do you mean by event capture and bubbling? Okay, so let me just show you. uh, do I have a whiteboard? Yes, just let me stop and share the whiteboard. Okay, so this is the let's suppose I have, okay, please excuse my drawing. Okay, So this is my box. Okay, so this is my first box. There is a second box, and there is a third box. Okay, and inside that, okay, so there is a jewel. Okay, so there is something, some diamond or something. Okay, so now here you are. Okay, now you want to get this jewelry. Okay, so this particular diamond you want to get. So all these are doors. Okay, so these are all doors. So how will you get this particular diamond? Okay, so uh, you don't have any option. You will have to go first, open this door, right? Then open this door, then open this door, get the diamond, and then you will have to come out of the door, right? So if you look at this, this is how your events work. Okay, so basically now just looking at this example and now comparing it with your HTML. Now who is this person over here? This is you. Okay, and what are these boxes? These boxes are HTML tags. Okay, so these are all the tags. And what is this particular element? So this is your target element. Okay, so this can be a button. Okay, let's call it as a button. Okay, okay, so what you have done is you have added a event listener on this particular button. Okay, so whenever you click on this button will have many different HTML tags in which it is embedded. Okay, so like for example, let's say this is your body, this is your table, and this is your TR. Okay, and maybe there are a few more boxes, so which will be TD, etc., etc. Okay, so you can understand how this event bubbling works. Okay, so whenever you click, you don't click directly on the element. Okay, so if this is the button, then you don't click directly on the element. If you just think a little, you are first clicking on the body. Okay, so whenever you click, you are clicking on the screen, right? So you are clicking actually on the body. That body transmits that to the table, then that table transmits that to the TR, and finally that TR event is transmitted to the button. Okay, so that's how the button gets the click event. Okay, so this procedure is called capturing. Okay, so this is called as capturing. Okay, now the event has reached the button. Now it has to come back to the user that yes, it is clicked. Okay, so that is like you're coming out of the room. Okay, so now how it works, the button tells the TR that yeah, it is clicked, then the TR tells the table, and the table tells the body. Okay, so that is how it works. So this particular reverse is called as bubbling. Okay, so whenever any event in HTML occurs, HTML DOM occurs, there is always a capture phase and a bubbling phase. Okay, now if you have understood this, now what we have done in our current scenario is we have added an event listener to the button. Okay, so we have added an event listener to the button. Can we add a event listener to the TR or the table or the body? Can we do that and still get the event? Is it possible? Can anyone tell me if I right now what I've done is I have added an event listener to the button. Okay, so that is this particular diamond, yeah, I'm considering over here. Okay, but what if I added an event listener to the TR? Will it work the same or will it be different? Okay, so Alia says it won't work the same, I think. Okay, so now the thing is, just let me explain you why it will work the same. Okay, so now if you attach a event listener to the TR, what will happen is it will now let's suppose I added a so there is a button. I have added a event listener to the button, right? So now if I add one more diamond over here. Okay, so when you add an event listener to the button, will that event listener be added to the new diamond also or new button also? No, right? Because you have purposefully added event listener to only this particular button, right? So in the code also you have mentioned that whatever is visible at that time, only those buttons event listener are added, right? But if you add an event listener to the TR, what will happen? If you add an event listener to the TR, whatever buttons you add or whatever diamonds you add inside that TR, the TR will always know. Okay, so that is the advantage of using this. Okay, so now many of the times we use this particular technique whenever there is live DOM change. Okay, so always remember, whenever you change the inside elements, then you should definitely go for the parent event listener, not the exact the current element which you want to target. Okay, like for example, let me just stop this share and share the screen back now. Okay, so in this case you can see I am recording the checkbox. Okay, so I'm adding an event listener to the checkbox. Now what happens is whenever I add a new element, this checkbox does not know whether there is a new element added or not, right? But just imagine if I have added the event listener to the TR. Okay, if I add it to the TR, will it work? If I add it to the TR, will the TR know if new TRs are added? So where are the new TRs added? Is it added over here or below this? So the new TR will be added below this, right? So it will come below this. So like this, the new TRs will be there. Okay. So if I add an event listener over here on this TR, it does not make any sense because again, it does not know whether new TRs are added or not, right? But if you add an event listener to the T body, okay, so all these elements are added to whom? The T body, right? So if I add an event listener to the T body, then T body will always know if new elements are added or not, right? You can also attach an event listener to a table because T body is inside table, right? Or you can also attach an event listener to this particular div, which is called to do. Okay, so to do div, you can add an event listener to this. Okay, or if nothing, if you want to be a bit more broader, you can attach a event listener to the body also. Okay, so that is how you can work. Okay, now the second important reason, so that was the first reason, that is to broaden your viewport. The second reason is, okay, are there any queries? Yeah, Alia, right, T body. Okay, so the second reason is, now let's imagine right now there were only five checkboxes. So, okay, so if there are only five checkboxes, how many event listeners will be there? that we are attaching. So if you look at it, we are using a for loop, okay, and we are looping through each and every checkbox. So this particular code will be run 5 times, okay. So there will be 5 event listeners added. Now just imagine you have 100 rows, okay. So if you have 100 rows, how many event listeners will be attached? There will be 100 event listeners, okay. Now you can just think, imagine what are event listeners. They are functions, right? So if event listeners, they will consume memory, right? So if you are attaching 100 event listeners, then that will consume more memory, right? So rather, if you change your strategy and if you target the T body or the table or the to do div or anything like this, then how many event listeners will be required? If I target the individual checkboxes, I will be requiring those many event listeners, uh, how many ever checkboxes are there, right? But if I target the parent, okay, let's say for example, if I target T body, how many event listeners will be required? How many T bodies are there? So there is only one T body, right? So how many event listeners will be required? One, exactly, right? So you can understand, you can find out the difference now, okay. So if you apply an event listener to a T body, there is only one T body, right? So you will need only one event listener, whereas if you look at the check boxes, there are, based on the number of TRs, there will be so those many number of check boxes, right? So you will require those many event listeners, right? So that will consume more memory, okay. So it is always a good idea to, go for, parent elements, uh, event listener in case of live DOM changes, okay. So whenever you do live DOM changes, it is better to go for, such kind of a, parent bodies, uh, event listener, okay. So let's select the parent now. So what is the parent? So the parent is T body, okay. So obviously in the whole HTML documents there is no T body, so we can select it directly, okay. So I could have simply written here T body, okay. So that will work. So that is now, I can call it, instead of checkboxes, I can call it, let's say, T body. Okay. So I'm calling this as T body now. And now I don't need this for loop because there is only one T body. And also I don't need query selector all. Okay. So query selector all is run when there are multiple elements you want to return. Okay. In case of checkboxes, there are multiple checkboxes, but T body, there is only one T body, right? So there you will need only query selector. You don't need query selector all, okay. So when you do this, you will get one element, right? And to this one element you are going to add an event listener, okay. So in that case you don't even need the, for loop. So I can remove the for loop, and this is the remaining code now, okay. So now let us add an event listener to T body. So instead of checkbox, I'm going to add an event listener to the T body. So T body dot add event listener, click, and rest of the things remains the same, okay. Now let me just comment this code that we have written for the time being, and let's console log and do a hi over here just to show you what exactly is happening, okay. So now what I've done is I have added a event listener to the T body, and now whenever I click on the T body, it is going to print hi, okay. So let's see. uh, Huzefa is asking, sir, we will get a list of the right, so we have to increment the list. I didn't get it. Can you explain it, Huzefa? Okay, so let me just inspect and show you what exactly is happening. So this is my console to the right, and this is my uh, uh, HTML, right? So if I click anywhere, you can see nothing happens. Okay, so I am clicking all around. I am clicking on the T head, so nothing happens. But as soon as I click on the TRs, okay, so basically this gray area, that is the T body. Okay, so we have attached the event listener on T body. So as soon as I click on that, you can see I get high. Okay, but now the problem is wherever I click, I get high. Okay, wherever, whether it is checkbox or whether it is this TR or whether it is this pending or anywhere. Okay, so it is going to uh, print high. Okay, so that is one thing about attaching an event listener to the parent. Okay, so it will work for all the elements, but you want to filter it out only for the what do you say, check boxes. Okay, so you don't want the click event to handle anything else, right? You just want it to handle what do you say, check boxes, right? So how we can do it? It's simple. You just have to filter. Okay, so run this code only if something is valid. Okay, so let's see if e dot target, so e dot target is your clicked element. Okay, so what is the clicked element? So let's, instead of writing if right now, let's do e dot target. Okay, dot, let's say node name. Okay, node, let's call find out the node type. Okay, so let's say node type. There are lots of different things, so let's find out what is the node type. Okay, so let's inspect again, go to console. Okay, and let's click. You can see, oh sorry, it is node name. Okay, so let's find out what is the node name of each of these. Okay, let's go to console. Let's click on this. It shows me it is a TD. Okay, so if I click on pending, it shows me it's a TD. But if I click on checkbox, it shows me it is an input. Okay, so from this I can filter it now. Okay, so I just want to compare, run this code only when it is input. Okay, so I can come over here, just copy this code, and instead of console.log, I will just do if this is equal to input. Okay, so I'm going to check if it is equal to input. Okay, so now let's do console.log, and let's say hi. Okay, so now this time this code should run only when it is a checkbox. Okay, so let's see if it really works. So if I click over here, nothing happens. If I click over here, nothing happens. But if I click on the checkbox, I get high. Okay, so that way this works. Now let's add another element. So I have added another element, test, and now if I click, you can see the high comes again. Okay, so that means the live DOM is working. Now the only thing left is whatever we have commented out, we just have to bring it live. Okay, so we will just select it, uncomment it, cut that particular code, and instead of console.hi, I will paste this over here. Okay, so now I think that should work. Let's save it. So you get this particular thing. Now refresh. If I select, you can see it works. Okay, and if I add a new element, it still works. Okay, so everything works perfectly. Now next thing, if you look at it over here, then your test, uh, there is one bug that I'm finding out, that after first of all, let's clear this out. So in this particular value, it should start with a blank value. Okay, so I'm adding, so now it is perfect. Okay, so now let's add something. Okay, so I've added this, click on add. Now it comes down over here. Okay, so that is not a problem, but as soon as it comes down, don't you think this should clear out? This should be blank now. Okay, so that we can do simple. You can just do, after saving it inside data, you can change the value of the text box. So text box dot value is equal to blank. So you can set this, Okay, so now whenever I put anything, you can see that value get disappeared. Okay, so that is one problem that I've resolved. Okay, now let's look at the second last problem. If I don't type anything and if I try to submit, what will happen? Right now, there is no validation that we are doing. Okay, so if I click add, you can see what happens. It adds an empty string. Okay, so that should not happen again. So what should we do? Can anybody tell me? So this, now you can tell me how I can tackle this. Okay, basically whenever there is a blank string, I should not enter any HTML inside the table. Okay, so how to do that? Any idea? Yeah, perfect, perfect. That is exactly correct, Alia, right? So there are multiple ways of handling this. Okay, so one of the ways is, as Alia said, now you can see in this particular in this particular event listener, this is where the new row is added. Okay, so I can do one thing. I can remove this. Okay, and here I can do an if statement, and in the if statement I can say data is not equal to empty. Okay, so this is one way, and only then I will put this statement. Okay, so I will add the inner HTML only if the data is not equal to empty. Okay, so now if I try to add it, you can see nothing happens. Okay, so if I try to add it, no additional data is added, but if I try to add something, it works. Okay, this is one way of doing it. Another way would be, let's suppose you don't want this to happen, then you could have done, so here you are checking the value, right? So a better way of doing this would be just to, if um, data is equal to empty string. Okay, so you are doing the reverse now. So if it is empty, I'm just going to, it's a function, right? So if this is a function, so I can just do return. Okay, so if I do return, that means not, it will not go ahead. Okay, so I'm just stopping the execution at this particular point. Okay, so if it is blank, I'm not going ahead and I'm returning. So this is also one option. So if I click, you can see nothing happens, but if I type something and submit, it works. Okay, so this is the basic to do application. Right now, one more thing is left, is to handle this, that we will do in the next section. Okay, so any doubts still here? Okay, so in event listener, we selected TR by adding parent node to E twice. Is that still correct? Yes, yes, it is still correct, because you are inside, you are targeting this input element only, right? So you are running this code only for the input element, and let's see where is the input element. So input element is over here, right? So what is the parent of the input element? TD. And who is the parent of TD? TR. So I'm going 2 steps back. Okay, but uh, if you have not done that if statement, that means this if statement was not there, then that will create a problem. Okay, so it will run for all the TDs. Okay, so it will run for this also. In that case, it will go back 2 steps. So this will be from TD to TR and TR to T body. So that will create a problem. Okay, so that's why this if statement I have added, so that the click is on the in checkbox only, not anywhere else. Okay. Any other queries? Okay. So if there are any queries, okay. Can we return a placeholder saying please type something when user tries to add blank? Yes, yes, why not? So you can do that. You can use the set attribute command, and you can set the attribute to placeholder comma the whatever value you want to set. Okay, or else better you can do data, you can do this. Okay, so I can do this. So basically now if I try to add, you can see I'm getting an alert, cannot be empty. Okay, so that kind of a thing you can do. Any other queries? Okay, so now the last part is now everything, the to-do application is working, but this part I want to update. Okay, so right now this part is not working. That means whenever I check, nothing actually happens over here. Okay, so it should basically update, right? So now how to do it? It is, there are multiple ways of doing this, but the uh, let us see how we can tackle this. Okay, so okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create now, still now we have not used any functions, right? So I'm going to create a function which is going to calculate the status. Okay, so let's call this function uh, show to do status. Okay, so I'm going to call this function as show to do status. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is this is going to find out how many checkboxes are there, right? And then loop through each and every checkboxes and then find out whether it is checked or not. Okay, if it is checked, it will add complete, increment complete. If it is not checked, it will not, it will not increment. Okay, so let's do that. So let's assign some variables. Let complete is equal to 0. Okay, let uh, total equal to 0. Okay, so I have complete, I have total. So if I have total, I have complete, then pending will be simply total minus complete. Okay, so that will give me pending. So I don't think we need a third variable to store that. Okay, so next I want to get the check boxes. Okay, so we can do a simple query selector. Let check boxes equal to document dot get sorry, it is query selector all, because there are multiple checkboxes, right? Query selector all, and here I can say what is the, so have I given any class to the checkbox? Yeah, I have given a class, so I can use that. So I can do dot to do check. Okay, so this will give me all the checkboxes. Now I can use any type of for loop to loop through this. I can use for in, I can use for off, I can use for each, or I can use normal for loop also. Okay, so it is up to you, but I like for off, so that's why I'm using it. Okay, so let checkbox of checkboxes. Okay, so let checkbox of checkboxes. Now here I'm going to do First of all, whenever there is a checkbox found, a checkbox is found, you have to assume that there is one checkbox, right? So total should be increased. So I can do total plus plus. Okay, so total is increased. Now the complete should only be increased if the checkbox is checked. Okay, so let's find out if the checkbox is checked. So if checkbox dot checked. Okay, so if it is checked, uh, now if you do not provide anything inside this, okay, so like for example, if you do not do this, then by default it is assumed that it is checking for true only. Okay, so if it is this, then I'm going to do complete plus plus. Okay, so now after this, let's console dot log and find out what is complete and what is total. Okay, so let's find out whether this works or not. Now if I save this right now and if I run it, will it work? Okay, now before going to the console, will it work? Will it give me something in the console? No. Why no? Exactly, Alia. So I did not call the function, right? So uh, always remember, whether it is add event listener or a function, it will not run when the page loads. Okay, it will only run if the add event listener, sorry, event listener will only run when the event occurs, but the function will only run when the function is called. Okay, so right now I have not called it anywhere. I have just declared the function, but I have not called it. So I can come over here and take the name of the function and call it. Okay, and that calls the function, right? So now if I go to inspect and go to console, I can see 1 comma 5. Okay, so 1 is complete and 5 is total. Okay, so that works perfectly, right? Now you may be thinking that sir, you just now said that you should not use this, right? So you should not attach, you should not use this. So I never said you should not use this. You should not attach multiple event listeners. That is what I've said, right? So you should not attach multiple event listeners because that will reduce the performance of your browser, right? So what I have done right now over here is not, I'm not attaching any event listener. I'm just uh, running this, I'm just getting all the checkboxes. Okay, now another query, I don't know how many of you have got this particular query is, so this will detect only those checkboxes that are there in the beginning, right? Like it has happened before, right? So if I add new, it should not detect this one, right? But that is not the case. So whenever the function runs, it reads the DOM. Okay, so at that time, whatever is there, it will get the details. Okay, but in our previous case, if you remember, this I was running, this particular statement was over here, right? But when it was over here, it was running only once. Okay, that means when the page loads. But here, you will understand now in a while that I'm going to run this to do status uh, button after every change in the DOM. Okay, so I will show you what I mean. Okay, so right now it is not going to update. So now our task is not complete because it should be updated over here, right? So now to update over here, first I will have to get this particular element. Okay, so whenever you want to target any particular element, you have to first get that element, right? So you can see I have given a ID to this particular element, right? So how to select if you have an ID? Can anybody tell me how to select an element if you have an ID? Yes, perfect, Amina. So basically I just have to do, let's say, let status is equal to document dot get element by id, and inside that I can do the name of the id. Okay, so this is one way. Or if you want to use query selector, you can use that, but only difference will be you will have to add a hash over here. Okay, so once you do that, now I have the status. Now let's do status. If I want to change the text, you can just do inner html is equal to let's first put hi and see if that works. You can see now it gets replaced by hi. So instead of hi, uh, let me just comment it. I want this particular statement. Okay, so let me copy this and paste it inside. Okay, right. Now what I want is, instead of 10, 3 and 7, I want to put substitute values over here. Okay, so how to do that? Any idea? So basically you just have to use so this is a string, right? So if it's a string and you want to replace something over here, you just have to use concatenation operator. Okay, so concatenation operator is the plus sign. Okay, so I just want to remove this, so I will remove this, and in front of it I will use plus, and here this will be total. Okay, so what I'm doing is total plus, that means I'm adding total to this entire string. Okay, now if I save it, you can see I get 5 to do's total, but other things are not updating. So let's do that. So now to update this, wherever you want to replace, you just remove that particular text, add double quotes. Okay, so 2 quotes, so that I can split the string in half, and then I will add 2 plus symbols. Okay, now I will show you why I'm adding 2 plus symbols, and here it will be complete. Okay, so what I'm doing is I want to add this complete variable to both the strings. That's why I'm adding this 2 plus symbols. Okay, so once I do that and save, you can see I get 5 to do's total and 1 complete. Okay, now the last step would be to do this, right? So this will be again simple, to add 2 quotes, add 2 plus signs, and here instead of, I will add a bracket and write total minus complete. Okay, so once I do that, you can see my status is complete, right? 5 to do's total, 1 complete and 4 pending, right? So that is done. Now let's see what next. Okay, so now if I select any one of the, okay, so if I select, the to do's does not change, right? So the reason is, whenever you change something, you have to run this to do show to do status again. Okay, so let's copy that command and let's see. This is where you are trying to find out whether that particular statement is complete or not, right? So what you can do is, uh, after checking whether it's an input, you can run this function again, show to do status. Okay, so after every checkbox click, you are running this statement. So what will happen? So if I do this, you can see now everything updates. Okay, so 5 total, 5 complete. So let me zoom in if you can't see. So if I remove, it updates on real time. Okay, so now this is happening. Now let's add another entry. Okay, so I've added an entry, but if I make, so as soon as I add entry, you can see there are 6 entries, but to do total is only 5. Okay, So that means something is still missing, right? That means whenever I change the DOM, you can see here I am changing the DOM, right? So after changing the DOM, I can again run the show to do status command. Okay, so now let us save it and let's add another. So you can see as soon as I do that, now it says 6 to dos total, 1 complete, 5 pending. Let's add one more. You can see 7 to dos total, 1 complete and 6 pending. Okay. Okay, so I think everything is working, and if I, okay, so everything is done. Okay. Okay, now let me come back over here. Now this is one way of doing it. I will show you another way of doing the same thing. Okay, so let me comment this out, and this is very important. Status dot inner HTML is equal to, now instead of using quotes, if you use backticks, okay, so backtick is the key which is below your escape key. Okay, so if you use two backticks, then backticks gives you, you know, much more flexibility. I will show you how. So let me just copy this and paste it over here. Okay, and now what backticks do, this is called as template literals. Okay, so this is the, this syntax is called as template literals. So what I can do is I can add template literals now over here. Okay, so now how to add template literals? You just have to use dollar and curly braces. Okay, so wherever you want to replace something with a variable, you just have to put dollar curly braces. Okay, so let me just copy that and paste it everywhere. Okay, and then inside this you just have to specify the name of the variable. So this is total, this is complete, and this is going to be total minus complete. Okay, so this gives you exactly the same result. And now can you tell me which one is more cleaner, whether template literal method is more cleaner, or this, the above method is more cleaner? So in the above method, you have to use, you have to close the quotes, then add plus symbols and all these things, right? So as soon as your strings become complicated, you will have to do, major manipulations has to be done. Okay. Another thing, another thing is, let's come over here, and you can see this statement that we have done, right? If you remember, we have added this with the help of this. If I would have used backticks over here also, okay, so if I would have used backticks, then I did not have to escape the quotes also. Okay, so I don't have to escape the quotes. That is another very important thing. Okay, secondly, I can make it more organized. Okay, so right now let me just organize it a little. Okay, so which one looks better, the previous one or this one? So this one, the result is the same. Okay, so if I add, you get the, oh sorry, instead of data plus, I have to use template literals. Okay, so for that I will just use data. Okay, and if I now add, so you can see it works exactly the same, but it is much more cleaner. Okay, so I usually prefer using this method. Now it is completely up to you how to use it. If you like the quotes method, then you can use quotes method, or if you want template literal method, then you can use this. Okay, so only thing to understand is you have to use backticks, and you can use this syntax, dollar symbol and curly braces for replacing the data. Okay, any doubts still here? Okay, One more thing, pending is whenever I mark this complete, I should make this from pending to complete. Okay, so that thing should be there, right? So let's see how to tackle that. So I should come to this particular place, right? So I am getting the parent node, right? So this tr is the parent node, right? Next, what I can do is I can take the parent and get the last child. Okay, so let's say last um, okay, so let's console log this and find out what is this. Okay, so I am trying to find out what is the last child. So let's save it and open console, go to console and let's tick it. And you can see I get the last child. Okay, so last element child gives me this. Okay, so once I get the last child, what I have to do is, let me just remove the console.log and I can do dot inner HTML, and inside that I can say complete. Okay, so now when I press this, it becomes complete, right? But now if I remove it, it still remains complete, right? So to tackle that, I can just copy this particular statement, come down over here and put this as pending and save. Okay, so now if I add, it becomes complete. If I remove, it becomes pending. Okay. Okay, so any doubts still here? Now we are towards the end of the project. Only one more thing is remaining. So before that, are there any queries? Okay, so I think there are no queries. So one more thing I want in this project, that last thing is I want a way to delete that particular row. Okay, so right now I can add new rows and mark them complete, but I want it to be deleted. Okay, so now how to delete uh, any particular row? Okay, so there are multiple ways. One way would be to add another column to the end. Okay, and you can add a button over there. When you click on that, you will delete that particular row. Okay, so that is one option. Another option will be to use I will show you another way. Okay, so where am I doing this? Yeah, so I am doing this add event listener click. Okay, so I'm adding an event listener to the T body, right? And uh, next I'm going to take the same code, paste it down. Okay, and I think, yeah, so I can remove this part. Okay, so I'm going to use this much, and instead of add event listener click, I'm going to use a new event. Okay, so this event is called double click. Okay, now how did I get this? You can just I've already shown you where you can get all the events. So you can go to over API and go to HTML DOM, and you can see all the different mouse events. Okay, so you have click, you have double click, mouse down, mouse move, mouse over, Okay, so this particular event, mouse move, can be used to track the position of your mouse cursor. Okay, so you can be used for games. Then in case of keyboard events, you can if you want to create some action where you want to run a particular thing using some shortcuts, then you can use this particular event. Okay, so like that, there are a lot of events for each and every events. Form events are there, so I am using this double click event. Okay, so let's use that. So when I do double click, this particular code will be run. Okay, and I want to run this code only when you click a TD. Okay, so let's do TD. So whenever I click a TD, this event should run. And what exactly I'm going to do is I'm going to first get the target and find out the parent node. I think this was perfect. Let me just, okay. So I want to get the target, and if it's a TD, you don't have to go 2 steps back. You just have to go 1 step back, right? So I will do this. Okay. So I get TR, right? So that is the main element, and only thing I have to do is tr dot remove. Okay, so when I run this, that particular row will be removed, and then I have to run the show to do status. Otherwise, this thing will not be updated. Okay, so let's see if this works. Hopefully it works. Okay, so now if I single click, nothing happens, but if I double click, that particular row is removed. Okay, so I can double click and keep removing, and everything works. Okay, so I can add new entries and then delete it. Okay, so any doubts still here on all the various events, whatever we have done till now? Any queries are there? Okay, so let's move on to the next project. How much time do we have? Okay, I think we have little time left. Okay, so we will move on to the next project, that is this project. Okay, so we are going to just start the project, and then I want you all to complete it. Okay, so let me show you what this project is. So let me go to project2.html. Okay, so this is the project. So basically, again, now this is going to be a very simple project, but it will take a lot of time to complete this. Okay, so I think I will complete this because it is very important, because I am going to cover something, how to persist the data. So that also I am going to cover. So we will complete this project also, but it will take some time, right? So it will go on to the next what do you say, next Thursday also, Thursday session also. Okay, uh, so we will start this project today and complete it by next uh, by this Thursday. Okay, and in the next session, that is in the practical session, I will be starting with the fourth experiment that is going to be, so I will discuss it over there. Okay, so I will need some time to explain what you have to do in the fourth experiment. Okay, so let's begin with this. Okay, so whatever we can complete in this 10 minutes, we will complete that much. Okay, so let me go to the project directory and create a new file called project2.js. Okay, so that will be my JavaScript file. And if you look at the code, I have already included that file. Okay, so now everything is there. So I have my HTML ready. I have my JavaScript connected. Now let's analyze the structure first. Okay, so the structure is very simple. There are two divs. The first div is this particular area, the top area, which is called the products div. Inside that, there is a P card. Okay, P card is nothing but product card. So each P card is one item. Okay, so you can see if I copy this and paste it over here multiple times, if I have pasted it 4 times, you can see it. There are 4 products appearing. Okay, so I have done this using grid, so it will go one below the other if the number of products increase. So this is the first part. There is a add to cart button, right? So whenever I click on this particular button, that product should be added to this particular cart. Okay, so this is the second div. So this div has a table, and this table here I am going to add the uh, product. Okay, now if I add the same product twice, so there should not be 2 rows. Instead, there should be only the quantity should change and the product cost should increase. Okay, and whenever I add a product, this total cost keeps on increasing. Okay, so based on the total sum of all these things, this cost should increase. Okay, then once this particular carting system is over, you will have an option to add a discount coupon. So if the discount coupon is valid, particular amount of discount should be added. And you can also set a tax, how much tax you want to deduct, and after that you should get a total, grand total, that the customer should pay. Okay, so this is the application basically that you are going to work on. Okay, Rohit Nair, is there any question? Has he raised his hand? Okay. Okay, so is it clear? Is the project clear? Okay, so let's begin implementing it. So I don't want the products. So this time we are going to make it a bit more advanced. Okay, so it is not going to be that simple. So this is going to become a long program. Okay, so let's tackle this now. First of all, you should have a vision that what is your final end product behavior going to be like. Okay, so I want this product to be stored in some database. Okay, so I want this to be stored in some kind of a storage memory, right? So in that case, doing DOM manipulations directly is not a good idea. Okay, because you cannot store the entire DOM into a memory. Okay, so that will be a very bad idea. Instead, you should store to store the data into variables, and that variables can be stored into memory. Okay, or any storage space. Okay, so I will show you what do I mean. So the first thing I'm going to target is this P card. Okay, so this product card. So card we will do next time. So we will first target this P card. So let's come over here and let's create an array. Let products equal to, okay, so I'm going to create an array. Now you know the syntax of an array, right? So you can type here apples. Okay, then you can type oranges. Okay, like this you can keep on typing the various products. Okay, but if you look at the structure of the P card, you will understand one thing is it has multiple parts. Okay, so it has a title, it has a cost, it has a quantity, or this thing, and it also has an image. Okay, so right now I'm using a service called as placeholder. Okay, So this placeholder service is like, it gives you dummy image uh, of a particular size. Okay, so I'm using 100 cross 100 image. Okay, so I will show you how I have used it. So you can see this is the website link. Okay, and any size image you want, you just mention the size over here and it will give you a dummy image of that size. Okay, so I'm using that particular service to create dummy images. Okay, in future I may change it to something realistic or something related to apples. Okay, but right now I'm not interested in that. So one thing to note here is there are multiple properties of a particular p card. Okay, so you cannot mention everything in an array. Okay, so that's why what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array of objects. Okay, so till now what we have seen is we have created separate arrays, we have created objects, but we have never created array of objects. Okay, so today we are going to see that. So by using square brackets, you are creating an array. By using curly brackets inside, you are creating an object. Okay, so I'm going to create multiple such objects. Okay, so that is my, so I've created 3 objects now. Now inside this, I want to have different attributes. Okay, so let's first give it name. Let's call it name of the product. Okay, so name of the product is, let's say, apples. Next, I want another property called amount. Let's call it, let's say 200 rupees, right? Now you do not have to mention rupees over here, because then in multiplication it will create a problem, right? So I'm just adding 200, the integer value, whatever is the value of it. Okay, then I want the weight, maybe. Okay, weight of, I can mention over here 1 kg. Okay, then I can also mention the image. Okay, so image is going to be, I will just take this link and mention it over here. Okay, so in future this may be replaced by actual image. Okay, so this is going to be my object. Okay, next I'm going to add another object which will be similar. So I will just copy all this, paste it over here, and here I'm just going to replace this by orange, and this I'm going to replace it by pear. Okay, and the cost, I will, all these are 1 kg. Cost of oranges, let's say 80 rupees, and cost of pears is, let's say, 240. Okay, that's it. So I have created a an array. I have the products ready. Now what I want to do is I want to render this project, render these products over here. Okay, so I don't want it to be rendered using HTML. Okay, so basically your products array will be empty. Okay, so products DOM will be empty, and it will be populated with the help of JavaScript. Okay, based on these variables. Now I will show you what is the advantage of that. Okay, but for the time being, let it be there, and let's create a function. And we are going to use functions a lot here, because that will help us organizing our code better. Okay, so let's use a function and let's call it render. You can give it any name. I am giving it render products. Okay, so render products, and after doing that, I can now do one thing. First of all, let's select this particular DOM. Okay, so products DOM. So let's select that DOM. So that DOM will be called as, so let's select that DOM outside. Okay, outside of the function. Okay, now you could have selected it inside also. Let me show you. Let me select the, Okay, so let me call it products DOM. Okay, so let me call it products DOM. I can select it with the help of document.query selector and the class name of it. So class name is, oh, sorry. So what was the class name of, it was products. Okay, so I have selected it. Okay, now, now what is the difference between putting it over here and putting it over here? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between this statement and this statement? Any idea? First will run when the page is loaded. Okay. Second one will run when the function is called. Okay. So just to avoid the confusion, let me run the function also. Okay. So I've called the function. So now what is the difference? Will it make any difference if I put it over here or put it over here? In fact, I have explained this before also, but let me again explain you. This concept is very important to understand, otherwise you will get confused. Okay, so whenever you declare anything in the, this is the major difference between this statement and this statement is the scope. Okay, the scope of the variable. So the scope of the variable is very simple. So whenever you declare any variable inside a function using let statement, it will not be accessible anywhere else. Okay, so nobody can access this particular variable. So if, let's suppose if you create another function, okay, let's say test, you create another function, so you cannot access this this particular variable. Okay, if this is not there, let's suppose this is not there. Okay, if this is not there, then if you are defined it over here, then this is not possible. Okay, so you cannot access a variable which is defined in any other block. Okay, so that is not allowed. But if you define it in the global scope, if you define it over here, then you can access it anywhere. That is because you have defined it globally. Okay, so that is the advantage of putting it over here. Okay, so that's why I am, because now how do you decide where to put a variable? Okay, whether you want to put it over here or put it inside this. Okay, that completely depends uh, you know, whether you are going to use this particular variable in any other function or not. Okay, so if you are going to use it, then it's better you declare it in the global scope. Okay, so I have declared it in the global scope. Okay, next, now I can access this, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through all the products one by one and create the DOM and append it to this particular DOM. Okay, so let me show you what do I mean. So let me do products, let me use a for loop. Okay, so for loop, and which method should I use? Let me use for each this time. Okay, so we can use any method, but I am thinking of using for each now. So let's use products dot for each. Okay, so the syntax, so you should be sorry, good with all the syntaxes. Okay, so you can use any for loop, but I'm just trying to, you know, take variety of for loops. Okay, so I've used for each now, for each function now. So when I do this, I get one by one each product inside this products table. Okay. So once I have that, now what I can do is I can create the I can append the inner HTML. Okay. So let me get this products DOM and select the inner HTML. Okay. And I want to append it, right? I don't want to replace it. So for appending, I will use plus equal to. Okay. So I will use plus equal to, and here I want to add that P card. Okay. So now the P card is having this particular structure. Okay. So I will copy that and come over here, and I can now paste it in double quotes or using backticks, template literals. Okay. So I like backticks. So I will use that and I will paste it. And now I will just arrange it a little. Okay. So now I have this perfectly. And if I now save this, let's see what exactly happens. You can see it works and it creates three more divs towards the end. Okay. And I think now this particular div is not required. Okay. So I can just comment it out because, and now I'm going to add the things dynamically. Okay. But now the problem is everything is showing the same results. Okay. So it is apples 200, apples 200, apples 200. So I have to now start replacing the data, right? So let's replace. So first of all, I will replace the image. So image is going to be, let's use template literals. So let's copy this and paste it wherever I want to replace the data. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to replace all this data. So first one will be, uh, okay. So now I want to get the name. Okay. Sorry, name. What is that? Image. Okay. I want to get the image. Now how to get an object value? Okay. So I want to get this property from this particular object. So when I do products for each, so in the product, I'm going to get this particular object. Okay. One object I'm going to get, right? Inside that object, if you want to target one particular element, then what you can do is you can use a simple, you can use just product dot, and you have to use the dot operator whenever you want to access the particular object. Okay. You can use either dot or square brackets also. Okay. So dot the image. So the key name, property name is image. So when I do that, it will replace this with the proper image. Similarly, I want to, this should be the name, then this should be the amount, and this should be the weight. Okay. And you can see it works perfectly. Now I have apples, oranges, pears, and the amount is also getting reflected. Okay. Now look at the advantage of putting this inside the variable. So now if I duplicate this, okay, so I am now going to duplicate this, and now I can add another, uh, I can add watermelon, which is, let's say 50 rupees and 1.5 kg. And if I save, you can see I have not touched the HTML document, but all the elements are coming in directly. Okay, so it is coming in from the variables. So I change the variable, the DOM gets reflected. Okay, so that is the advantage of working it like this. Okay. And the second advantage is on Thursday, we will see how we can uh, store this inside a storage medium. Okay. So after that, you will have everything stored properly and it will persist the data. Okay. So any doubts still here how I have done this? Okay. So I will do one more thing before
we will switch to the practical session. So the next thing is, whenever I want to add an event listener to add to cart. Okay. So whenever I click on this, something should happen. Okay. Basically that something is basically that element should come to the cart, right? But before that, I want to just add an event listener to this. Can anybody tell me how I can add it? I want to add an event listener to add to cart button. Okay. So if you look at it over here, there is a button called add to cart. Okay. So I want to add an event listener to it. Okay. So whenever I click on it, that something should happen. Okay? Let's say hi should pop up. Okay. Something like that. Can anybody tell me how I can do it? Add event listener to the div. Which div, Alia? Here is the DOM. Okay. So okay. So add an event listener to the P card. Okay. Anyone else? Give button an ID. Okay. Others, give button an ID to for selection purpose or for some other purpose. Okay. Uh, okay. So for the answer by Adarsh Kapoor, uh, giving an ID for selection purpose is not a good idea, because you have so many buttons, and this the products will keep on increasing. So how many event listeners will you add? Okay, so let's say there are 100 products, then you will be adding 100 event listeners. So that is a bad idea, right? Another idea would be, like Alia said, you will add a event listener to the parent. Okay, so parent where the products are getting added. Okay, so the P card is the product that is getting added. So one product is one P card, right? So parent of that is products. So you can just attach one event listener to the products uh, div. Okay, and that will solve the problem. Or else, as like others said, we can attach an event listener to button, but then there will be so many buttons, right? So there will be so many event listeners, so that will slow down your browser, right? So a better way, like we did in the to do, would be to go to the parent and attach an event listener to that. Okay, so if you look at it, uh, I already have that products DOM selected. Okay, so that is the reason why I brought this particular query outside. Okay, so I had that in mind already, so that's why I bought this outside. Okay, so now I can do products DOM dot add event listener. Which event should I add? The click event, right? So let me add the click event listener, and function e, and I have added the event listeners. Right now, let us do console.log and see if everything is working. Console.log. Hi. Okay, so I have done this, and let's open the console. Okay, and let's see if if I click on add to cart, does console show me hi or not? It works, right? If I click on add to cart, the console shows hi. But if I click on image, it still shows me hi. If I click on title, it still shows me hi. If I click on amount, it still shows me hi. Okay. The reason is you have attached the event listener to the products DOM. Okay. So products DOM, this entire thing is products DOM. So anything you click, it is going to give you a click event, right? But you want to restrict it. Now, how do you restrict it? You can do console.log dot, let's find out what is the target. Okay. So dot target dot node name. Okay. So let's find out what are the different node names that are coming. Let's inspect. So if I click on image, I'm getting IMG. If I click on apples, I'm getting H2. If I click on rupees, I'm getting H3. If I click on quantity, I'm getting P. And if I click on button, I'm getting button. Okay. And I want this, right? So I will come over here. Now I will replace this with an if statement. And I will check this if it is equal to button. If it is true, then only I will run the console.log. Actually, this will be replaced by the actual add to cart function, but I'm just testing it out. Okay. So I will say hi. Now, if I do inspect, go to console and click on add, you can see I'm getting hi perfectly. But if I click anywhere else, nothing is happening. Okay. Okay. I think that is uh, enough for as a starting point for you all to start working on the project. So everything is covered. Now I want to see how you are going to implement this particular thing. So let's see if by Thursday you can complete this project. How many of you can complete? Okay. And I will be looking at the output of each and every student. Okay. How much ever you have tried, you will have to show me. Okay. And it is important that you try to do it. And if you get stuck, then don't tell me on Thursday that I am stuck. That's why I did not try it. You can always contact me through Slack and uh, ask any queries. Okay. So try to do it and complete this. Okay. So I will share this much code with all of you in the Slack channel. Okay.